The young Archai throws a dirt clod. Ekate, son of Limp Snake! He throws another one. This time it strikes Ekate in the face. Ekate Deval knows he is a shaman, like his father, Lae'dellik. But what is a shaman to do in this situation? Run away! That's what Limp Snake would do! Taunts a second boy. Ekate shouts, My father's name is Life from Death! Which is the meaning of the name, Lae'dellik. He's Limp Snake now! Laughs the first boy, whose name is Haitiinos. And you, son of Limp Snake! He picks up another dirt clod and hurls it. The other boys laugh along with him. My father is a brave man, as am I. Ekate knows that shaman are supposed to be brave. He is too young to know much else, but courage is something Lae'dellik has taught him since birth. Kapumero speaks up. He is the largest of the boys, and the son of a fierce warrior. I challenge you to prove your courage. Let's see if you don't shit all over yourself in the face of danger. Tell me your challenge, replies Ekate. 2 days past, my father's raiding party brought back a silver looking glass from a Typherian colony. It is being held in Wamoko's yurt. Sneak in there tonight at high moon and look into the reflection. Ekate dreads the object, as would most Archai. It is a noxious thing made from silver metal and casting a deceptive reflection of whoever gazes into it. You're conceited, Kapumero. You must have stared into the looking glass for hours already. See, he's too afraid to take the challenge, mocks a boy with a scar on his forehead. I am not, huffs Ekate. I accept the challenge. And so it is decided. Late that evening, when the night is deep and the moon hangs high, Ekate, son of Lae'dellik, sneaks out while his mother and father sleep. He makes his way to the yurt of Wamoko, the priest-shaman of the Whitewater. Kapumero, Haitiinos, and a third boy join him there. They quietly draw open the flap of the hut. The inside is dim, lit only by a few fireflies and a small pit of glowing coals. Wamoko the shaman is standing upside down on his head and hands, humming, perhaps snoring. Is he asleep? Whispers Haitiinos. He's not awake, replies Kapumero. Go in, son of Limp Snake. Ekate steals into the yurt. It smells of smoke and herbs. At the other end of the single room is the mirror, covered in a blanket with protection bands woven into it. I should not be here, he thinks to himself as he creeps towards the object. Please, spirits of the Kutanga River, let this pass by quickly, without harm. He reaches out a hand and pulls away the blanket. In the gloom, he stares into the eyes he sees in the mirror. His own eyes, colored like the sea. Passing fireflies make soft glows and send shimmers along the polished surface of the looking glass. How strange a thing, Ekate says to himself as he gazes at his own reflection, a small capture of the world in a flat object, trapped within a frame of curling silver bands. Just as he starts to get lost within the mirror, a sound issues. Lagora Chisheano. A second figure appears in the mirror, standing just behind Ekate. He screams and spins around to face the entity, someone tall and lanky, no more than an arm's length away. The shaman Wamoko breaks from his trance and flips onto his feet. He utters a word, and one of the fireflies dives into the coals. A fire crackles up, filling the yurt chamber with yellow light. The tall one is an Archai with blackness for eyes. He reaches out and grabs hold of Akate's shadow. "No!" yells the shaman. He lifts his spirit totem and begins to chant. A moment later, the tall Archai has returned to the mirror, dragging away the shadow of Akate. "You have taken from us, and now we take from you." Akate feels strange, thin, like a boy cut from cloth or painted onto a skin. He collapses to the floor. "Wake, Lae'dellik." The voice of Wamoko cuts through Lae'dellik's dream. He awakens and opens his eyes. He sees the face of the shaman, his mokos gleaming from his forehead and cheeks by the glows of fireflies inside the lodge. Outside, he can hear the huffs and grunts of the rhinoceroses passing in the night. "What is it?" asks Lae'dellik. "We have a visitor, the one that I called for." "At this hour?" "He only rides by night." Lae'dellik immediately knows what this means. The visitor is a Makutu, a sorcerer, a witch magus, a dark rider who only travels after sundown. "You called him Makutu? It was one of his kind that stole my son's shadow." "Yes," replies Wamoko, "and who better to ask about this matter?" The two men exit the lodge and come to the pathway, where the families of rhinoceroses are wandering by, munching grass and leaves as they go. Then comes another such behemoth, strongly built, with long curving horns, and bearing a rider. "May the night find you well. I am Wamoko Kamani, Makuna of the Whitewater tribe. I wish to speak with you." "And I am Lae'dellik Deval, warrior shaman of the Whitewater tribe. I need information about another Makutu." The rider looks down from atop his mount. His nose and ears are pierced with bony adornments. He says, "I am Achitingok of the Great Savannah. Are you the keepers of this lodge?" "We are." Wamoko does not hesitate. "Then, if you have brought the proper tribute, we may speak." His rhinoceros lets out a huff of breath. The nocturnal insects chirp and drone. The stars above twinkle within the veil. The priest shaman Wamoko produces a drinking gourd. He hands it up to Achitingok, whose name means "who has crossed many rivers." The sorcerer smells very near the plug of the gourd. Then he holds it out to his rhinoceros's nostrils. The beast sneezes and twitches its ears. "This is good." The drink within the gourd is called Mamoate, dreams of the dead. "Then ask what you will, men of the Whitewater." The shaman Wamoko holds his spirit totem to his chest and speaks. "A few nights past, a Makutu appeared in our village and stole the shadow of a boy, the son of Lae'dellik here. He did not ride in by night atop a rhinoceros. He came through a Typherian looking glass. Typherian looking glass. The sorcerer Achitingach echoes the words. He holds eye contact with Lae'dellik for a long minute, then Wamoko. He says, "The colonies of the men from Typhris are spreading in the north. Some of them have Arkai in their service, in their command. This Makutu who attack your village has done the same with many other tribes, from here to Carver's Clutch. He pays revenge upon those who have raided the Typherians. In return for his service, these outlanders have given this Makutu leave to dwell within a Hyrosian ruin, a great place known as Walanosrangi, which means Halls of Shadow." "The Halls of Shadow," repeats Lae'dellik. "To the northwest, set into the side of a mountain." "This is the place. There dwell many foul and ancient things. The Typherians went through much trouble to explore the ruins, and eventually they had to retreat from it." Wamoko asks, "What is the name of this Makuto who has attacked in league with the men of Typhris?" "I do not know his family name, but he is called Atangalpoa, who was born from smoke." The rugged ground reaches upwards through the jungle landscape. The thick canopy blocks out much of the sunlight, though here, a bleak swath of clouds holds the heaven. Amongst the forested landscape creeps a mist that feeds all manner of weeds, fine mosses, and fungus. Soon, Lae'dellik enters the grounds of the ruin. Massive blocks lean from all sides, some partially sunken into the ground, others still displaying their ancient faces of basalt carven with Hyrosian petroglyphs. The air hangs in silence. Only a muffled bird or monkey's call sounds from the distance. Lae'dellik ventures onwards, towards a colossal structure emerging from the mountainside, perhaps a temple or a palace of the long-fallen Hyrosia. Up ahead, he spots two Arkai. They are engaged in discussion. One is a massive warrior who carries a maquito lined with obsidian shards. The other is noticeably smaller of stature, wearing cured animal skins and leaning on a spear. "You there! Hakam!" Lae'dellik calls to the men. He holds up his serpent-headed staff. "I have traveled far to reach this place. Let us speak for a moment." The two men eye him. "We too have traveled far to reach Walanosrangi. We come from the Island of Horns of the Anaitiran tribe," which means strong crag. "I am Lae'dellik Deval, shaman warrior of the Whitewater tribe of the Kutunga River. My son's shadow was taken by a sorcerer named Atangalpoa, who, I was told, dwells in this place." The tall Arkai, holding the maquito, replies, "I am vai'cairn Gaushi," whose name means warrior of the cave. "My people were attacked by this dark mage. It is the first time we have known a makutu to come to our island." Then the one holding the spear says, "Ayantamono akonni," whose name means bravery in the mist. "The rest of our companions are back at camp. I was the only one courageous enough to accompany vai'cairn up to this palace." Lae'dellik says,
I came alone, as none of my tribe need suffer over the path that is mine.
Vai'cairn replies to him, "It looks as though your path is not in solitude after all. No mere chance brought us here at this same time." Lae'dellik raps the ground with the butt of his staff.
I intend to enter this place, alone or not. I must bring honor back to my name, my family, and I must bring full life back to my son. If you are of the strength of will, come and let us journey together.
Vai'cairn and Tomono come forward. The others lie back and worry over themselves. We press forward into the darkness. They take each other's shoulders and check the sureness of their glances.
On we go, and do not have fear when I call upon the spirits of the land to lend us their strength.
The party of three approaches the entrance of the ruined structure. Its face is a network of grooves and maze-like patterns, all strewn with moss and muck. The door is a solid stone slab set with Hyrosian runes. Lae'dellik studies the runes and engravings.
There must be a way to open this seal.
He slides a stone index over a rune which resembles two vines intertwined. The slab raises, revealing a dark interior. The men light torches and enter within. After passing through a short corridor, they come to a large chamber with a high ceiling. A massive pit drops off, down into impenetrable gloom. Farther on, a set of stairs rise up to a circular dais, and another set lead to a platform and walkways. The party spots 4 archai in the room. Atop the dais, a darkly tattooed one is speaking in an animated voice with another who wears chitin armor and carries a spear and a shield covered in twisting spikes. On the higher platform, there are 2 with longbows. "Hakam! Silence your chatter! We have come! I am vai'cairn, warrior of the cave. I am of the strong crag tribe from the island of Horns, seeking the Makutu who attack us."
I am Lae'dellik, life from death of the Whitewater tribe. I am here for a Tangalpoa. Are you he?
The one atop the dais gazes down at the 3 who have just arrived. His dreadlocks are pulled into a tight bunch at the back of his head, and he wears bone jewelry, even ear piercings. "I am Katandon Manu, Laughing Beetle. My tribe is no more. If you are looking for a Tangalpoa who was born in smoke, you must look elsewhere. He dwells upon the island of ashes." Lae'dellik senses that something is not quite right. This laughing beetle and his bone jewelry do not bode well. His words seem twisted and suspicious. Lae'dellik raises his serpent staff.
Lies! I did not travel this distance to be fooled by a paka!
He begins making his way towards the dais, with his 2 allies by his side. Laughing Beetle shrieks, "Stop! I forbid you from entering our palace as enemies!" Vai'cairn yells back, "When you attack my people, you awaken my wrath!" "I did not attack your people, you ignorant brute! If you want to die, take one more step." Lae'dellik looks at the rune-inscribed platform within the center of the great pit. It seems to be associated with protection and commanding, but he is sure of nothing more. Then he looks at the statues in the area. They are clearly ancient Hyrosian statues. The one on the higher platform, in particular, is a godhead imbued with the power of the trickster deity Lae'dellik, who had the body of a squid. Lae'dellik urges his comrades,
"Do not listen to him. We have come to the right place. I trust this."
With weapons drawn, the party pushes on. A great voice in an unknown tongue echoes throughout the hall. The shadows deepen all around. On the upper platform, the two warriors with bows reposition, then take shots at Lae'dellik. Tomono darts ahead and takes cover in a protected alcove. How eager you are to die! Crackles Laughing Beetle. He raises a bone totem and shakes it while chanting. A skeletal hand raises from the floor and swipes at Lae'dellik. Lae'dellik dashes ahead along the angled wall. He raises his druid staff and chants to the spirits of air and daylight. As though descending from some majestic cliff, two giant eagles appear. The first eagle swoops down to attack Laughing Beetle with its beak and talons. The bird tears deep gashes into the bone sorcerer, who shrieks and falls to the ground, spurting blood. The second eagle swoops into striking range of both warriors on the platform. Its talons rip through animal skin and braided fibers and slice the Archai's flesh deeply. He howls in pain. Vai'cairn's eyes grow wide at the sight. He shouts and rushes forward towards the foes. The warrior in the chitin armor drops his spear and draws a net. He launches it at the giant eagle. The net binds around the bird, restraining it. Entangled, the avian beast goes crashing to the floor. The two warriors on the platform drop their bows and draw hand axes with obsidian blades. They strike at the giant bird. Feathers flutter into the air as the razor-sharp shards of volcanic rock strike the beast. Tomono sprints to the side of vai'cairn, spear in hand. From the shadows that line the chamber, a shade emerges and grasps at the unsuspecting Tomono. The Archai gasps. His skin falls a paler shade, and he collapses to the ground. Vai'cairn spins around, just as a second shadow attacks from the gloom. He feels a sickly, draining sensation throughout his body. Lae'dellik feels a supernatural chill run through him at the sight of the shadows. Unfortunately, he knows little about such foes, though he does feel a slight hunch about the small rune platform in the center of the pit. He calls to his eagle to break free from the net. The giant eagle struggles to break free of the bonds. It frees itself, orients its body, and flies partway to Lae'dellik. The second eagle continues to fight. With a slash of sickle-like talons, it fells the first of the warriors. Lae'dellik grits his teeth and rushes ahead. He shouts a word of storm power, and from him erupts a burst of thunder. The elemental force blasts the shadows away. Vai'cairn sees his fallen comrade and howls in berserker fury. He closes the distance between himself and the shadow, with his maquito ready to deliver death blows. The Archai's weapon tears through the shadow until it fades to nothing. He looses a great war cry and steps next to the other shadow entity. The warrior in chitin armor picks up his spear and takes a defensive position. The warrior with the hand axe strikes out against the giant eagle. The giant bird screeches and returns to the spirit world. Having vanquished her foe, the warrior picks up her bow. The shadow stands before the berserking jaguar warrior. Faceless, featureless, its cold hand reaches out. Vai'cairn again feels the terrible draining sensation. He howls from the anguish. Lae'dellik commands his eagle over to the fight. It circles back on rapid wing beats, then strikes. The large beak and talons slash through the shadow. Less effective than a solid opponent, but it causes the dark foe to dissipate some. Lae'dellik shouts a battle cry of his own and imbues his staff with primal might. He heads into the fray and attacks the shadowy stalker. The magically empowered staff disrupts the shadow, and it fades back into the gloom. Vai'cairn feels somewhat weakened, but not overwhelmed. He draws his chakram and throws it at the warrior on the dais. Anger flows from him, and he goes hurtling towards the dais. "You're next, Poka slave!" The warrior rebukes. "We are backed by the strength of Typhris. It is you who raided the colonies first. Can't you see it, shitbrain?" He comes down the stairs, spear in hand. Against the raging berserker, the spear's nick is hardly felt. The warrior woman on the high platform looses one arrow then another in rapid succession. With Jaguar's reflexes, Vai'cairn swipes his weapon to block the incoming missile. Unfortunately, his strike is not sure enough. At the druid's command, the giant eagle speeds up and over to the high platform. It engages the Archai woman firing from her loft. With a single mystical word, mists enshroud Lae'dellik, and he appears on the high pedestal, next to the godhead statue. He touches it and reaches out with his mind. An ancient and mythic whisper emanates from the statue of the long bygone Hyrosian god. Twin, misty duplicates of Lae'dellik rise to either side of him. Vai'cairn screams at the warrior on the stairs. "Whore of Typhris! You deserve to be killed!" The barbarian's hefty maquito shears through the chitin armor and lops off the warrior's entire arm. He shrieks and falls over, fountaining blood. Vai'cairn throws a glance at the archer warrior above, curses, then takes cover on the other side of the stairs. The fighting woman bares her teeth at the grim situation. She darts away from the giant eagle. The avian lashes out with powerful talons as the warrior makes her desperate flight. The claws rake her open from her neck to her waist, and she hits the floor in agony. Lae'dellik calls the eagle over to him, and the bird brings him down to the floor. Tomono lies still and cold on the floor. Vai'cairn glances about for any signs of danger, and sees none. His breath's slow. He comes to the side of his fallen ally. Tomono, my comrade, journey well to the spirit world.
What misfortune to die in the clutches of a shadow spirit. Let us not fall in such a way.
The berserker vai'cairn shakes his head. They struck me, they all did, but I still stand. Come, we cannot waste time.
The druid replies, a moment of patience. There are still many curiosities in this great hall. I would look over these runes and etchings.
Bah! We don't have a moment to waste. The enemy knows we're here. The shaman warrior Lae'dellik is able to balance the fire in vai'cairn's veins.
Let me see your wounds.
He then tends to his own wound, chanting as he passes his hand over the area that the enemy struck.
Lae'dellik says, I shall scout throughout this chamber and see what mysteries it holds.
Vai'cairn responds, and if more of these shadows attack us?
Fight or flee, but do not perish. I sense that we rely upon each other now.
The druid mounts onto the giant eagle once again and scouts about the Great Hall. The small platform in the pit contains a rune that Lae'dellik associates with protection and commanding. It might be related to the Shadow Stalkers, but he leaves it due to the uncertainty. Across the pit, in the corner of the room, is a door accessible only by way of a narrow ledge, or by taking a tremendous and perilous leap from the platform some 25 feet away. The door is made of basalt and bears the icon of a high priest. The next door is situated atop the high-rise. It is likewise a sturdy construction of basalt, and it displays the icon of a vault. The third door is at the far end of the chamber, and much like the prior two. It is engraved with the symbol of a maze. The central dais has a number of runes set into it, and Lae'dellik can feel spiritual energy flowing through it. He takes some time to study the runes and draw upon the energy. He is able to comprehend and access the mythical location in a limited capacity. The final place that the druid inspects is the wall of hieroglyphs. In its center is a carven portal limned with strange etchings and frightful faces.
I suspect it's here that the shadow spirits enter this place.
Can you destroy it?
It is not as simple as that. All has a process. All has a cost.
We've already delayed too much. Come on.
There is much in this place to see, to know.
If you spend too long in this way, you'll turn into a paka yourself. We move now. As Lae'dellik's giant eagle returns to the spirit realm, the two men are left to press on, despite not fully comprehending what lies ahead.